Hi everybody, it's Ezra. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to read you a really good classic children's book. It's called Lyle, Crocodile by Bernard Weber, and I hope you all enjoy it. This is the house on East 88th Street. Mr. and Mrs. Prim and their son Joshua live in the house on East 88th Street. So does Lyle. Listen. Swish, swash, splash, sploosh. That's Lyle. Lyle the crocodile. Lyle was very happy living with the Prim family. He was especially happy when he was being useful, like helping Joshua brush up on schoolwork. But if Lyle was happy, he was making someone else unhappy. Perfectly miserable, in fact. The someone else that was Loretta, Mr. Grumps's cat. Mr. Grumps lived just 2 houses away from the Prims. Whenever his cat caught even the slightest glimpse of Lyle, she would fling herself into a nervous fit. Lyle wanted desperately to win Loretta over. He tried flashing his sweetest, most toothsome smile at her to show how really friendly he was. But this only frightened the distrustful animal even more. In the end, Mr. Grumps, who was even more excitable than his cat, would burst from the house, shaking an angry fist at Lyle. "Something will have to be done about that crocodile," he shouted as Lyle fled to safety of his own house. To take his mind of his troubles with Loretta and Mr. Grumps, take his mind off his troubles with Loretta and Mr. Grumps, Lyle filled his days playing with Joshua and his friends. He loved being it. He could skip double dutch 100 times without missing. It came as no particular surprise that Lyle could high jump, but Loretta, who was just out for an airing, was surprised. She was terribly surprised. Loretta was so surprised and so shaken, she fled to the nearest tree, and no amount of coaxing would bring her down, not until Mr. Grumps arrived to rescue and comfort her, and she would consider coming down. "Something will have to be done about that crocodile," stormed Mr. Grumps. Now Mr. Grumps was really furious. Now he knew he would be snappy, irritable, and impossible to live with when he returned to his job in a big department store the following day. For the next several days, Mrs. Prim thought it best to keep Lyle close at her side. Together, they fussed about the kitchen, preparing good things for the family to eat. When the weather permitted, they took lunch to the park. Lyle was always one for sharing. They even took trips downtown. There were so much to see in the big city, and much to do. Mrs. Prim could spend hours just browsing around antique shops. Lyle could spend hours watching building construction. They both loved to ice skate. One day, Mrs. Prim and Lyle went shopping in a big department store. Unfortunately for everyone, it turned out to be the very same store in which Mr. Grumps held an important position. Unfortunately, they were to hear from Mr. Grumps all too soon, for it was his voice that suddenly broke in over the loudspeaker to announce a sale in the pajama department. Immediately, it was as if everyone in the store was desperate in need of pajamas. Separated from Mrs. Prim, Lyle swept along with the crowd. As they neared the pajama department, Lyle thought he heard a familiar voice. "Lyle! Lyle!" the voice called out. Lyle recognized the voice all right. And the face as well. The voice and the face belonged to Hector P. Valente, star of stage and screen. But what was Senior Valente up to now? Well, for the moment it seemed he was very busy selling pajamas. Lyle remembered unhappily his days of traveling and performing with Senior Valente, but in spite of everything, the two were delighted to see each other once more. In another part of the store, Mrs. Prim searched frantically for Lyle. "Excuse me," she said to the lady at the information booth, "have you seen a crocodile going past?" He was wearing a red scarf. "No," answered the lady, "I have no information about a crocodile wearing a red scarf." "Excuse me," said Mrs. Prim to the sporting goods salesman, "have you by chance come across a crocodile? His name is Lyle." "Sorry, madam," answered the salesman, "I have not come across any crocodiles named Lyle today." Mrs. Prim grew more and more upset. "Excuse me," she said to a man wearing a white carnation, "I have lost my crocodile and I don't know what to do." Whatever the man answered, Mrs. Prim never heard it, for his voice was lost in a chorus of the other voices shouting, "More! More!"